let's try to assess bad brain chemical activity, bad chemical addiction. Of being addicted to your capacity to manipulate and invent, or compete with others to feel you know dopamine and adrenaline addictions. They're talking about the Pro Bowl thing and flag football being coached by Jerry Rice and Steve Young. Brigham Young's descendant. Brigham, we talked to prayer occasionally. The one person I talked a little bit more to in prayer was one of his sons, and he was murdered by angry, jealous white people. It wasn't as big of an issue with the native people in the area. He had a good relationship with them. I always wondered why I had a strong connection to with McNary and Mormon Lake and stuff. When me and Amy went up to Flagstaff, and we went away from Flagstaff itself, it gave us kind of we went in there and went and with the places that seemed more affordable, and we left. Said, "No, this looks too creepy and scary. It looks too Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols." And but when I went through Cedar City, I got a real good feeling about just the spiritual connections of people that had been there before. And now, yeah, I know how self-righteous and obnoxious and arrogant the Church of Latter-day Saints is, and the Vatican, obviously, and other, said military espionage groups are. I know how self-righteous and arrogant and obnoxious they are. And it's like, really, you engage in business with people that use sexual manipulation to be in control of people, right? And, like my dad said, my penis, he said, "Earl, you need to control it or to control you." And apparently, you guys have a lot of necks telling you what to do, huh? The head of the family. Got some Windex for that? Whoopa! Ian, I got a gun in my room, Ian. Okay. But what people, I'm certain people understand, but they're so arrogant, and they think they can manipulate people to their will, which is not correct. When you're going in contrast to religious, eternal, faithful understanding, you're talking about humble wisdom and a knowledge, that's eternal, based on faith and infinite glory. You're not talking about study. You're not breaking everything down to the minutest detail. When they showed me, neuroscience and stuff, I'm like, no, it's just basically studying the activities of the brain. It's taking an abused brain that's denied freedom of humility and beauty of the Gospels and telling you what the brain is doing. It's like, you guys are like Nate Reynolds, the Navy SEAL at the... Okay, after 17 times, he's gonna punch me in the face. He did. Wow. And I don't even think it's to that degree. I just think he's just basically, I'm going to pester this kid till the kid gets mad enough to react to me. And Jason Pippen always say that he called it. Nate said he was going to go into a behavior tonight, and it happened. Said, watch, this kid is going to have to be restrained tonight. He'd come into the house and say that, and then it would happen, and they'd be all impressed. It's like, no, he's worked them and worked them and worked them. And it might be something as simple that you wouldn't even think, like, oh, it's like that stupid gangbanger stuff with the, and then, Robert sitting there thinking, that was my family, and they protected me from getting sexually assaulted in a lockup because of bullshit. And you're going to talk shit about them? And he just loses it, right? And then Jason thinking, well, it's true, they are like that. So why did you lose it? When someone protects you from getting sexually assaulted in lockup in California, because you had consensual sex with your foster sister, okay? Which the Mexican guys all know. Oh, so she was into you, right? And then you get the talk, well, that motherfucker did this. And so you get the skinhead types trying, well, we're going to rape him. We're going to do this. And the Mexicans won't let it happen. And it doesn't happen. Okay. When Nate Reynolds starts talking shit about Robert Nate Nice's family in lockup, when you're running down me Noreños, boy, you walking on the fighting side of me. But the stupid thing was what I told Robert was the Soreños and Noreños. Okay? Viva la familia. Okay, do you understand? Soreños are in the same position the Noreños are in Northern California, Southern California in the early 2000s. He told me about Amandeep. He said Amandeep worked the whole thing. Because he had a consensual kind of sexual exploration thing for a girl that was younger than him, and it got talked about, and he ended up in lockup, and he was supposed to be a pervert. It was very difficult and complex for him, and Robert said, he worked everybody. It wasn't so much he worked everybody. He just kind of explained himself, and then got through, and the other kids were, okay, And then he just learned how to, be intelligent and keep himself out of sexual assault. That's hard to do as a skinny Indian kid in a lockup in California. But the same thing he did at NSI. And there were Nate's assessment and all those, they had the leaders and all this thing. And they said, no, Amandeep was a con. It's like, you hear that? A man like Namad, the man who works to protect people from aggressive, authoritative, unnatural, abusive behaviors, kids being able to discover themselves. You're talking about Indian people, the people that give us the Kama Sutra and stuff, that see sex as healthy once you've hit maturation. And when other people hit maturation and healthily want to share themselves with you, you have to make sure that you're ready for the children and for one another. Okay, that's Indian culture 101, right? And so, so he's a con. Yeah, a person who understands human sexuality over 100,000 years better than the people psychoanalyzing him, studying him, and incarcerating him in California, okay, is a con, according to the Navy SEAL and his buddies in Wyoming, right? Yeah. No, he's a good kid. Amandeep was a good kid. I can get you one of this. I can get you one of that. Yeah. I'm watching the Denver Broncos. His favorite team was the Denver Broncos. And he beat everybody without having to use his 99 dynasty player. Amandeep Par was the quarterback, and was 99 in all levels of everything. And I was beating him, so he had to bring Amandeep in and beat me, which I didn't care. I laughed. But I explained to him what I did. He goes, why are you killing me? What's going on? I said, I just took Heinz Ward and I lined Heinz Ward up in the slot. And I'm going to run, Jerome Bettis as much as I can to bring in the defense, the AI and stuff. And then I'm going to put myself in short, third down and short situations. And I've got Heinz Ward in the slot against linebackers. Yeah, so I'm just going to nickel and dime you down the field until I get in, which I will do because I got Jerome Bettis and I got Heinz Ward in the slot, right? And so I told him exactly what I was doing, but he wasn't sure because of the way he played the game, how to exactly stop it. Who to move here and move somebody in there that would cover Ward and take the play away more and stuff. And so you got to adapt, He didn't know how. And it was like, well, on that linebacker thing. Yeah, but then if I put a defensive back in position to stop Heinz Ward in the slot, you're going to run Jerome Bettis at that defensive back. Yeah, most likely, yeah. So it's kind of funny, right? And Jerome Bettis is going to run right over that defensive back, even in the AI, right? So it was funny. It was cute. We were sitting there playing. He beat me. It was like 28-17 or something like that. And he goes, God, Ralph, you're good at this. You're the first person that I've ever played that gave me a tough game, you know. And I was like, okay, you do play a lot and stuff. Some of the other kids were pretty good, but he's like, you were doing the best. Well, that's because I just knew my matchups and I just moved them accordingly. And the team I played with was the Steelers, you know, and when you had good, that year I had good, you know, of course he gave me a hard time too about he was rooting for the Seahawks in the Super Bowl against the Steelers. We cheated and whatever. I was like, I don't know, we beat you guys awfully hard to be cheating. Just kidding around. I was busy working and stuff, and I didn't get to watch the the Super Bowl between Green Bay and Pittsburgh. I watched the replay thing of it and stuff. So, you know, I did get to watch the one, yeah, because of the parking and the whole nine between Dallas and Pittsburgh. They really did outcoach Cowher outcoached Switzer. But, you know, Neil O'Donnell panicked a couple of times on a couple of plays. He probably shouldn't have had. The receivers were really quite mad. What was his name again? Was it Ernie Mills? Yeah. She didn't, you know, her friend hooked up with Yancey. Big Pin. Oh, yeah. Gorgeous guy. Real good looking. Ernie Mills was the one that Maria hooked up with. That was her hookup on Pittsburgh. Her favorite was with Philadelphia. His name was Clyde Simmons. I think it was, yeah, I think his name. And he was the gentleman to her. He was just, I love that guy. when he came into Charlotte and he took out my Maria, he took her to dinner. You know, the other guys just get him alone and come to the place and have sex with him, you know. But he took her out, took her to dinner, took her to a nice place, got her breakfast the next day, you know, did the whole My Fair Lady treatment. And so, you know, she really liked Clyde Simmons. But Ernie was also a good friend of hers, and they talked and hung out and stuff like that. Ernie Mills, the receiver for Pittsburgh. So those two I'm very fond of because of their treatment and kindness to my Maria, you know. And so, you know, it's interesting, but I'm sitting there watching the foosball game and Denver. Yeah, I wonder how John's doing with this one. John Juno. Yeah, that was a forward pass. It went forward. Yeah. It was not a lateral. He did not throw it backwards. So, but football really just don't. I mean, I like football and it's fun. You know, I like watching kids play and I like them, you know, being nice to each other and kind to each other and stuff. But I don't like arrogance and the stupidity of arrogance. You know, and you watch the little commercial. You know, your mom that shows no mercy and makes all things that kind of to commit the sin in the mind is the same to commit it in the flesh, guys. Okay. Well, they gave the ball to New England. That was a pretty whack call. I thought he made a pass and it went forward. He was trying to shovel past it and it went forward. I thought they should have penalized him and then got the punt, but I guess, you know. Oh well. It's just foosball. It's no biggie. But it's extraordinarily arrogant what's going on now. With the big one, I think it's part of genocidal operations because the way I know that's true because the way they, you know, we can program people like we're programming a video game. We can't get them to do anything they don't want to, and the way they used to always laugh when I was in close proximity to Fort Huachuca. You know, my sister. You know, my sisters. You know, my sister, when I die and stand before my maker, my other sister sitting there going, Earl, I cast out demons. And I'm like, Val, everyone's cracking up at the fucking fort. God damn it. And I'm like, there's no Christians. I guess they don't allow Christians in the control rooms and stuff, you know, because everybody's just laughing their ass off. They're sitting there going, you know, this is the guy like Jesus, and she's doing an Andrew Womack, Robin Williams exorcism. I'm on the phone when he's trying to explain to her what's happening through genocidal operations in military. And one of the main things, which was really, oh God, they're such horrible people. I see why the women at Fort Huachuca were so, God, they're terrible. Well, because my sister, when we were at the clothing store, and I said, these things, if you stand in close proximity, it'll cause cancer in you. It's like being near an x-ray and stuff. The little things for the things to set off for the alarms and stuff. You stay close to them, it causes damage on your body. Like, the balloons with the sonar, things and stuff. And it causes cancer, and it causes the Minutemen people, and they laugh about it. And I said, and so we were sitting there talking about the stuff with economics with Barack Obama. And I said, she goes, well, George Bush gave us a raise. Yeah, but George Bush sends people in the army to go get mass murdered but here's the thing with Obama is the people that get murdered in the army, okay, pray to their war god Jesus to kill all the Somalis and all the Venezuelans and all the Nicaraguans. You see what I'm saying? So Barack was slowing the stuff down, but Bush thought he was doing the right thing. He was killing bad people who were drug dealers, and the people that he was using to kill them were bad people that would pray to Jesus as their war god. And I like killing people for the government. It's fun, right? So they see it as just, I am not good enough at efficiently doing science projects through this bad thinking. It's like, well, no, you need to eliminate the bad thinking. You don't give them a playground to mass murder. You don't make Las Vegas's business. You don't manipulate it by allowing the right people to gamble over genocide. The poor plead for mercy, the rich answer of insults. The wealthy are fools who perceive their wealth as a high wall of safety. It is wrong to acquit the guilty and deny justice to the innocent. Eternal wretchedness is pervasive and arrogant as fuck, right? And these people at Applebee's getting rich selling food held hostage, while people worldwide are in distress or starving, malnutrition, and living near freeways and living near, toxic waste and dying and then going to the hospital and getting treatment and everybody praying for them to recover from their toxic and and you're like, no, just, if you're praying for them not to have this happen anymore or to be saved from this, you're going to have to obey the Messiah on YouTube. And you cannot obliterate him because you think you're doing genocidal operations scientifically correct like Facebook did. And I understand Facebook. I understand their brain damage. I understand why they were thinking what they're thinking. I can look at this in retrospect and watching this football game and connecting to the manipulation of me and all the people in my existence that were brought together to study. And, here's the problem with non-negative thinking. Here's the problem with this. No. And then we'll see why we can't do this. Look what they do to these good kids. And you're forgiving debt and trespass? You're sharing, caring, giving according to need, building to last? Okay. There's no difference between Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones, right? There's no difference between what Jerry Rice and Steve Young are participating in at the flag football game for the Pro Bowl for money than what happened to Malachi Young when he was a man trying to establish his family and trying to have good relations with all the people that had lived in that area for hundreds and thousands of years, right? He was respecting them, okay? This was their homeland. This was their traditions. I have to understand and respect their perspective, okay? I have to respect their life, and I have to respect their traditions and understand this is what they hold sacred, okay? And then everybody, what you said last night in the thing, this is a radically different time. I have quantum computing. Malachi Young didn't have quantum computing. He had to deal with people that believed in sky gods, that believed in ghosts, that believed in traditions that would make no sense, that were made up. When you believe in things that you don't understand and you suffer, superstition is the way, right? Okay, so he had to deal with a completely different world. I don't have to deal with that shit anymore. Okay? I have scientists studying brain activity, giving, I can prove beyond any reasonable doubts, okay? Heaven and hell are relative interactive states of being and not magical afterlife places in the brain invented by people to survive hell. There is a God, and here's what Jesus told me, and I died and I came back to life, right? Like, you didn't die and come back to life. No. You did not die, okay? Because you're not dead. Okay? Same thing with Jesus. I understand that. Okay, but he was classified as dead, just like the young kid with the black dot and the white on the News Channel 7, right? Okay. So technically, you did not die. Okay. There was a brief separation between the spirit, there was I don't know if it's a separation or a moment of, distress where the soul can no longer occupy the flesh because of termination of the flesh. That tire hit him and his body ceased functioning, and he had to be resuscitated by professionals that know how to do it, and he had to be in close proximity to a place that could put him back together so he would not die physically. Okay. So the temple was definitely pushed to the brink with that kiddo, right? And then it was very depressing to him. Well, this can happen at any time, especially when you're on the freeway closing major deals for money marketing schemes. It's very dangerous. Don't do it. So, we'll just keep focusing. I can't overemphasize what a good person I am. And I can't overemphasize what a bad person you're being by denying the applied physics of the Lord's Prayer to people and denying the 3 proverbs I chose in Cochise County, Arizona, to help technology reflect better creation than the capacity of its inventors. Okay, guys. I love you very much. I hope a lot of this stuff is starting to expect clarity and stuff like that. I hope, Michelle and Barack, I hope you understand a little bit better. I didn't explain it as well as I possibly could have until this moment. It's not a moment of clarity for me. It's for you. I've been very clear from the get-go of what is right, what is good, understanding, a truthful existence through faithful love. So it's you, it's not me. Okay, peace.